Ever felt like your brain has a mind of its own? Like there's a tiny, mischievous puppet master pulling your strings, dictating your moods, your choices, even your destiny? What if I told you that feeling isn't entirely wrong? Today, on VeriNous, we're diving headfirst into the most profound mystery of human existence, you versus your mind. Who's really in control? And the scientific answers might just blow your mind. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at your thoughts the same way again. We all believe we are the captains of our own ship, right? We decide what to think, what to feel, what to do. But if that's true, why do we procrastinate when we know better? Why do we get anxious about things we can't control? Why do negative thoughts loop endlessly in our heads, even when we try to push them away? The ancient Buddhists called it the monkey mind, constantly chattering, leaping from one thought to another. Modern neuroscience is now giving us unprecedented access to this inner world, and what it's revealing is both fascinating and, frankly, a little humbling. Let's start with a foundational truth. A huge portion of our mental activity happens unconsciously. Think about it. You don't consciously tell your heart to beat or your lungs to breathe, and it's the same for a surprising amount of your cognition. Our brains are efficiency machines, constantly making shortcuts. These shortcuts are our habits, our biases, and even our initial emotional responses. Take, for example, the amygdala, our brain's ancient alarm system. Before your conscious brain, the prefrontal cortex, can even fully process a threat, your amygdala has already fired off a cascade of stress hormones. This is why you jump at a sudden loud noise before you even register what it was. This fight or flight response is largely automatic. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux's work, famously detailed in The Emotional Brain, highlighted these two pathways for fear: a rapid, unconscious low road directly to the amygdala, and a slower, conscious high road involving the cortex. Your mind in that moment is reacting before you even have a say. If you're looking for another area where your mind seems to have the upper hand, look no further than your habits. From your morning routine to your evening unwinding, countless actions are performed on autopilot. This isn't laziness, it's neuroscience at play. Every time you repeat an action, the neural pathways associated with that action become stronger, more efficient. It's like paving a superhighway in your brain. Charles Duhigg, in his book The Power of Habit, explains the habit loop: a cue, a routine, and a reward. Once established, this loop is incredibly powerful. Your mind, recognizing the cue, automatically triggers the routine, often without conscious input from you. This is why breaking bad habits feels so hard. You're literally trying to reroute a superhighway. But here's the crucial twist. While habits are largely controlled by your subconscious, you have the power to consciously create new ones or disrupt old ones. It takes effort, but it's possible. Beyond habits, our minds also employ a vast array of cognitive biases. These are systematic errors in thinking that occur when people are processing and interpreting information in the world around them, affecting the decisions and judgments that they make. And again, they often operate beneath our conscious radar. Take confirmation bias, for instance. Your mind is predisposed to seek out, interpret, and remember information that confirms your existing beliefs, while downplaying or ignoring contradictory evidence. Ever found yourself only watching news channels that agree with your political views? That's confirmation bias at work, subtle but powerful. Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman's groundbreaking work on cognitive biases, detailed in Thinking, Fast and Slow, distinguishes between two systems of thought. System 1, fast, intuitive, and emotional, and prone to biases, and System 2, slower, more deliberate, and logical. Much of our daily decision-making defaults to System 1, allowing our mind to make quick judgments that we might not have consciously endorsed. Understanding these biases isn't about blaming your brain. It's about recognizing its shortcuts and, crucially, learning to identify when they might be leading you astray. So far, it might seem like your mind is an almost unstoppable force, a well-oiled machine running on its own programming. But here's where the story takes a truly empowering turn. Because while your mind has immense control, your conscious awareness, your intentions, and your consistent effort are the equally immense power to influence and even reshape it. This phenomenon is called neuroplasticity. For a long time, scientists believed the adult brain was largely fixed. We now know that's fundamentally untrue. Your brain is incredibly adaptable, constantly forming new connections and reorganizing itself throughout your life based on your experiences, thoughts, and actions. Dr. Norman Doidge's book, The Brain That Changes Itself, is filled with astonishing examples. Stroke patients recovering lost functions, people overcoming severe learning disabilities, all by consciously engaging in activities that literally rewired their brains. This means that every time you learn a new skill, every time you practice a new language, every time you choose a different response to a stressful situation, you are actively sculpting your brain. You are building new neural pathways, strengthening the ones you want, and weakening the ones you don't. So, if our minds are constantly operating on autopilot, how do we step in and take control? This is where practices like mindfulness and the concept of metacognition become incredibly powerful tools. Mindfulness isn't about emptying your mind. It's about observing your thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment. It's about creating a tiny space between the automatic thought and your reaction. Research by neuroscientists like Richard Davidson, who studies the brains of meditators, shows tangible changes: increased gray matter in areas associated with attention and emotional regulation, and decreased amygdala activity in response to negative stimuli. This is where metacognition comes in, the ability to think about your own thinking. When you say, "I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough," instead of just, "I'm not good enough," you've created a separation. You're acknowledging the thought as a mental event, not an absolute truth. This is you stepping in and taking back agency. So, is it you versus your mind, or is it something more nuanced? The scientific evidence suggests it's not a battle to the death, but rather a dynamic interplay, a complex partnership. Your mind, with its automatic processes, habits, and biases, provides the foundational operating system. But your conscious awareness, your intentions, and your consistent effort are the programmer and the strategic planner. Imagine your mind as an incredibly powerful, incredibly fast supercomputer. It can run complex programs automatically, but you are the one who decides which programs to load, which data to feed it, and crucially, which outputs to accept and act upon. The goal isn't to silence your mind. That's impossible. The goal is to understand its mechanisms, to identify its default settings, and then to consciously intervene to direct its immense power towards your goals, your well-being, and your true self. The journey to truly master your mind is a lifelong one. It requires self-awareness, practice, and a willingness to explore the depths of your own inner world. But the science is clear. You are not merely a passenger in your own head. You are the architect of your mind, the sculptor of your brain, and the ultimate director of your life's narrative. So, next time your mind tries to pull you in a direction you don't want to go, pause, observe, remember the power of neuroplasticity and choose to step into the driver's seat. If this video sparked a new way of thinking for you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe to VeriNous for more deep dives into the science of what makes us human. What are your thoughts on your mind's control? Let me know in the comments below.